Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 3 a.m. Files, where the rules are made up and the points don't matter. I'm your host, Drew Carey.
God damn it.
Is that a Who's line?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Why
even still the host
because I
of that
knew it
show?
wasn't going to make any sense. I don't think that show is still on.
Oh, it is.
It is.
It's probably
it is?
still on ABC Family or something.
Oh,
because it's on our favorite network.
It's
CW.
like zombie. It's on
Yeah,
zombie.
it's on CW.
It's like Zombie Simpsons then, where it's alive, but it's not.
You know,
Yeah.
you know who's on that show? It's the woman from How Did This Get Played?
Well,
Yeah.
okay, but it's the entire. Everybody else is the same except for her and Aisha Tyler. I think I'm not sure.
Man,
Yeah, I don't think she's not on it anymore.
Why isn't she working more?
She does a lot of voiceover stuff, and she
I could
does
say
like,
racism, but I'll not say that.
She basically works for Ubisoft at this point.
I was gonna say, yeah, every time E3 comes around, she does stuff for them.
She's there.
Yeah.
because
Right.
she's a girl nerd, and she's
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and she's Lana
Yeah.
Kane.
Yes, she is. On a show I haven't watched in like 5 seasons because it's just too fucking weird now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's dream sequences and all
Because
kinds
the writers talked about how he got really bored, and 2, they could not use the name ISIS anymore for like their
Yeah.
team.
That didn't help.
But then it's like every year it's like now it's a space opera and now it's a time travel show. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, is it all the same show or like what is it now?
Yeah, it got
But
confusing.
But anyway, this is not After Dark or Phantom Zone, so we're not gonna talk about TV unless it's organic or something.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm the one with the least amount of information this episode because I didn't come with a topic. I'm just my job this episode is to sit here and go, wow, ooh, what the fuck?
You're like the Iggy Pop song. You're a traveler. Or passenger. Passenger. God damn it, traveler.
Wow,
How did I
Eric.
screw that up. Oh, shut up, Arlen.
I'm honestly here for like everyone's dramatic reveals to bounce off of, which is kind of fantastic, actually.
I mean,
Yeah, it's a fun place to be.
Yeah. So if you're new to the show, this is our show devoted to the creepy, the mysterious, the unknown, the bizarre, the slightly amusingly strange. And we come in where all of us kind of either pick a topic. Well, either all of us pick a topic blind and not share it with the other ones, and we kind of reveal it as the show goes on. But I think we only have like 1 or 2 this time.
I think we have 4.
Oh,
Or Hunter,
yay!
Yeah.
Did you find one?
Hmm?
Hunter, did you find it?
I was,
Wait, on podcast?
I was busy coughing my brains out. Yes, I did find one.
Wow, yay! I'm gonna be even. I like how I'm even less prepared this time. Like, well, we have 2, 4. Oh, yay!
Well, do we want to introduce ourselves?
Yeah, I'm Connor. I'm not Drew Carey. There you go. I'm very tired. It's been a long day.
Yeah, Connor's got stuff going on. So yeah, Arlen Harrow. That's who I am.
I am the internet's boyfriend, Hunter Davenport.
I'm Eric Fedorczyk. My great void is weak. Do not kill me.
You know, I fucking started watching that the other day after I saw and found all those pictures, and that shit is still hysterical. Especially because there's 2 hours and 20 minutes of it, so it really doesn't get old ever.
Screenshots.
What? No, the whole movie is like that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's dubbed.
Oh, that makes
Dude,
me
yeah,
so happy.
but the entire at first, I don't know how this wasn't copyright struck, and we'll get to introductions in a second. But yeah, the entire movie of Backstroke of the West, Revenge of the Sith, is on YouTube, and it's got like 2.4 million views. And I don't know how that got away with it.
Yeah, it must be parody law or something.
It is transformative because I think like by a quarter of the way through, you're like, this is no longer representative of a movie or a story. This is just people yelling things.
Well, that's how all the abridged get away with it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When they do get away with it.
Like,
Except
there's
for
like
When
I
they're
think there's, like-
supposed to get away with
yeah,
it.
there's like a pilot in the beginning originally he says, you know, there's an enemy on my back or something like that, and in the translation it says he is in my butt. It's the fucking best. And like people just like when Anakin fucking jumps out of the elevator, Obi-Wan just goes, ah. But anyway, who else is here?
I am Lou Gonzalez, and I'm your color commentator for the week.
Is that it?
No comment. No comment.
Well, hey, unlike that boring ass pizza we were talking about, you actually have some.
Oh,
color.
you piece of shit!
Yes.
You motherfucker!
You and your fucking spaghetti pizza. Don't even speak to me.
I'm the
Delicious.
I am the tomato sauce on your white pizza.
Yes.
What are you, the Alpha and the Amiga?
Yes, I'm the Alpha and the Amiga. I'm the spice on your casserole.
I'm the.
See, I had an Atari ST, not no
I am
Amiga.
the bacon that crunches in the night.
I had the spaghetti.
Yeah, see, me and Connor are talking about something about Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
Bridge.
we're actually referencing Dragon Ball Z Bridge. I am a super sandwich.
So what's this show about?
What is it?
Yeah. We kind of said holidays, December, Christmas, but like whatever. I think we all.
Yeah,
had
here's the thing. Like
summertime
usually
times
when
stuff.
we approach a topic, like I kind of have an idea of what direction I want to go to, and you suggested holiday, and my brain went. I have no fuck. I was like holiday weirdness. I don't know any holiday weirdness. Like. All of a sudden, like, so whatever you guys found relating to either Thanksgiving, Christmas, or like the winter holiday season is probably going to shock the shit out of me. So,
Well, I mean, I know my thing, and I think Luke can back me up on this, is something that happened one time or maybe multiple times
that's
around Christmas.
Yeah,
but that
my
was just
story's the same
lead-in.
way. It's like a thing that happened on Christmas that kind of gets into another idea.
Yeah, mine's very similar as.
can
well,
I ask
so-
if it's similar to how one thing happened on Halloween, around Halloween once, and now every year everyone's like, check your candy because someone might.
I
47 of my
Mine
son's
isn't, at
stickers.
least.
yes, which that story was a dad doing it to his own kid, if I remember.
Yeah,
correctly.
exactly.
Yes, it was.
Yep.
And he accidentally poisoned another kid, and that's part of how things went wrong there.
Yeah.
No, I thought he because it was a pixie stick. I think he did it.
It
Yeah.
was a pixie stick,
Yeah.
but my understanding is that another kid got a hold of said pixie stick who wasn't supposed to have it.
Ah,
That's
Yeah,
that's
was
my
a-
very vague memory.
I remember that too. Talk about the Candyman people, the guy who actually ruined Halloween for a small town. I don't remember where exactly it is, but like
I feel like it was in PA.
it might have been. But
probably
he's pretty much the leading cause for the urban legend behind. Hey, check your candy for
razor blades and
for
other
razor-
bullshit.
Yeah. That the leap is that's where it just falls apart. You're like, okay, so how do we get from cyanide to razor blades? Like,
Well, it's always razor blades and apples, and I'm like, who the fuck eats an apple if someone gives it to you on Halloween?
yeah.
I
Right.
throw that at their house.
Also, if you're eating an apple and you don't notice the giant vertical and/or horizontal slit
Yeah, I
in
was
the
about to
apple
say,
where the
Right.
razor blade was stuck into.
if you're a kid and you eat a razor blade, you're dumb. Okay, you deserve it.
Bro, no, if you're a
Like-
kid and you eat an apple someone gave to you on Halloween, you deserve it. Because you
Unless
can take that
it's one of
apple
those-
and throw it
I'm-
through their window.
If it's a candied apple or a caramel apple, I
Oh, that's
could
different.
maybe.
No,
But
like,
it's also, there's
yeah.
a creepy level of like making homemade candies for children on
Yeah,
Halloween.
don't do that.
For stranger kids. Like,
See,
What is
I,
wrong?
Yeah, don't give me nothing that came from your house.
Right.
I've got this handful of change and some bank
That's the
pens.
fucking word.
Do not
Pennies?
give
No,
kids
I,
money.
I grew up in the time period that like this was a real panic because wow, somebody's dryer is done, because I'm ancient and I was around during this stuff. But the thing I heard, it wasn't razor blades and apples, but it was pins, like sewing pins.
Oh,
Oh my
So-
god, that's actually
Because-
horrifying.
yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
sewing pins. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
another one.
that would be less obvious, even though Lou is right. If somebody gives you an apple, throw that back at their fucking house because you're a monster.
Find
Is
a
it
window.
worse?
Here's the thing: it's not even because like it's not even like, oh, it's healthy in this day of candy. How dare you? It's like, I don't know where the fuck this has been. Like,
Well, here's the thing: is
get
it
it
worse to
away
get
from me?
the apple, the change, or for someone to give you dental floss or like a toothbrush? And
Or like a
If they-
or like a popcorn ball.
If they give
Oh.
me
I would consider arson at that point.
if they give me
No.
dental floss,
What you
I'm
do is
turning it into a garrote and killing them.
you use all those items and make your pact with the Dark Lord Satan to make a homunculus to then go and destroy that house. So this apple-bodied, toothbrush-armed monster.
I feel like what's funny is we're talking about like stuff on a holiday, but not the holidays we meant to.
This is Connor's contribution. Let's just call this that.
Sorry. I can't go over the apple-bodied homunculus.
Yeah, man. It's a simple A to B equation.
The floss is like the string to tie all the
Oh,
other things
exactly.
together.
It's
I
so
bet you
refreshing to
could
hear
pitch
someone use the
that.
word. Oh, it's so
You could
nice
probably
to hear
pitch
someone
that as
use-
a Netflix movie.
It's
or
so
like
nice to hear
Drink the
someone
Sugar.
use the word homunculus like in any joke because it's just not a word I hear every day. So
And you pronounced it
Oh, well,
correctly,
it's-
so bravo.
Well,
yeah,
I'm from the 17th century. Of course I know how to pronounce that word.
he was there when they were made. Don't recite
I
the
was
old
there.
magic to him, Lou.
The head is made of a free ticket for karate.
Well, the thing is, Eric is actually one of the ancient ones.
Yeah, no.
There when it was written, boy.
I was the one who wrote it, boy.
Okay, all right. Let's
Take it down. a notch. All right. So we got.
that was a worthy distraction, though. My God.
So who
Yeah,
wants to
who
go
wants to go
first?
first? That was.
I'll just say mine is morbidly lighthearted.
Oh,
So,
all right.
okay.
Okay, let's
Put
do
that.
this.
Yeah,
Alright.
and then I think I'll go after because mine's dark. Mine's fucked up again.
Okay.
I mean, after how we started, we should probably just start heading down that way anyway. So
Do the yin and yang of it.
go down the only road.
Mhm.
All right, so mine takes place on Christmas Eve, 1885, and
Don't mind.
Oh, I
Yes.
remember that year.
yeah, you were just turning
It
32.
was the year of the year of the homunculus.
Exactly.
So we're in the Seneca, Illinois, at the house of the Roonies, and one of their like house people, like a farmhand, wakes up because he's coughing, and no one's responding to him, and he goes into the house up the stairs, and he finds the husband, Patrick Rooney, has suffocated from some sort of fumes from the house, and he can see smoke in the room, but there's no fire. He goes downstairs into the kitchen, and there is just a black spot on the ground and a foot.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
Oh shit! This was actually one I was considering for. A little
Okay,
bit.
cool. And so basically, no one knows what to do. They're like, "Oh, did the husband kill Matilda?" Because it's obviously a woman's foot, which is his wife Matilda. And so they're able to see some fragments in the ash. And the people at the time basically come up with the idea that spontaneous human combustion.
Yep.
Yes.
And basically,
Alright.
she exploded into flames, immediately died. All of her burnt instantly, except for a little bit. And then the smoke went straight up and basically killed the husband by like CO2 poisoning, carbon
That's
monoxide.
insane.
Yes.
That's
and
insane.
nothing else in the house is burnt. And
love
they
it.
Yeah,
cannot figure out-
okay. So I'm glad someone like cracked this fucking book because spontaneous human combustion and all the cases around it are one of those things where I'm like, I don't fucking know, and I don't have any strong feelings one way or the other because like sometimes you're like that person fell asleep with a cigarette in their hand. Other times you're like, did that person burst into flames?
Right.
Well, basically what they said is that they were drinking so hard during the night that she had so much whiskey in her that caused her to spontaneously combust.
Listen,
And
we've all.
This checks out.
Yes.
Well, it's also important to remember whiskey was like what was it? 50%?
Like 200. Yeah,
like 200
200
level.
Yeah.
Drinking.
Are you telling me this woman turned herself into a Molotov cocktail?
Well, that is what the people at the time thought, and basically the idea is, or it was divine retribution for having like the two of them having drinking so much on the eve of Christmas.
Well, that's it. God did it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a
Yes.
lot of stuff here. So, for one, wintertime it's a period where a lot of static electricity can build up. So that might have been a part of it. I think that's much more of a modern problem.
Oh, I have
Inconvenience.
in here what modern day scientists think it is.
Okay.
So,
But,
but like, there are
yeah.
other things, but like, yeah, apparently, like, it was like a thing at the time, and people wrote about it. Charles Dickens wrote about it in his book Bleak House,
Yeah.
and he
Really?
described it in there So the sleazy alcoholic junk merchant, Mr. Knock, ends up as a heap of ashes on the floor and a dark, greasy coating on the walls and ceiling.
Whoa.
In his book, Bleak House. And then also Herman Melville and Nikolai Gogol used characters in Redburn and Dead Souls in their books to have spontaneous combustion. And it was something written about a lot in the 17th and early 20th, or like up to the early 20th century.
That's crazy. I didn't realize it was something that a lot of people in that time period were writing. Well, not a lot, but like well-known.
Yeah. Again, I also like the Charles Dickens thing. I was like, ooh, another good tie into the holidays.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are the chains I wore. And oh God, I'm on fire!
Oh no! So, to say what modern scientists think is actually what happened is that it's called the Wick effect, and basically it's the same reason why their pajamas are what do you call it, flame retardant, is because children's pajamas and lots of children's clothes and your night clothes in the past were made of stuff that was flame or like very flammable. Mm-hmm. And if you're drinking and walking around and then you spill some on you and you have a little hang thing and then it catches like a candle that you're using because you don't really have much electricity and you just go up super, super fast because you're covered in you're soaked in alcohol and this thing is basically made of kerosene. And you're wearing, and then you go up in instant flames.
All those kids drinking their whiskey and their
right.
Well, it's also a well-known fact that people in the mid to late 18th century didn't know how to drink things, so they just poured them on themselves until it fell into their mouths.
Yeah.
Yes.
The term drinking problem to a whole new meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but basically
to sort of keep it more precise, but
yeah. So basically, since like modern science, there have been no real explanations for.
Yeah, and there's also been like there's no such thing as a contemporary case of spontaneous human combustion.
Yes.
I don't know if I completely agree with that. I could have sworn there was something that happened in the 60s in England. Like there's a woman who combusted in her chair, and there was like a part of her left.
There's a few cases I know about that are like that. I wouldn't like. They're somewhat modern. And regardless of when they took place, the details around them are fucking freaky. Like I think the case you're talking about, the woman in her chair. I think they said she burned so fiercely and so intensely that there was fat deposits on the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it depends on how, because here's a couple of the things that's like, when did she die? Did the explosion, did like her going on fire kill her? Or was she dead and then her dead body lit on fire? Because like there are gases and stuff that build up in you.
Yeah.
And if there's something like, say she was smoking a cigarette and then she had a heart attack and died, and it's still, there's like something there and it falls and it catches, and then like the gas in her builds up and then somehow that then explodes.
Well, I think that's what it was. I think the theory was she passed out, fell asleep, / died, like smoking a cigarette, and I guess something similar to the Wick effect happened, but like I think it was a little later, as far in the timeline goes. So I don't think she was, quite frankly, dressed in flammable clothes and covered in booze.
Yeah, but the couch could have been made of like polyester, like some shitty cheap ass couch. That's like one of the basically they say is like, oh, all the shitty fabrics is what really is the cause of all this.
Right.
Okay.
And she was also covered in lard. Also,
it was England. So yeah, that makes sense.
I'm looking at the so the Wikipedia thinks that, which is really funny. One of the things is ketosis, which is something you look for if you're on a certain diet, so you want to be ketogenic.
Yeah,
like you're looking to get into. Well, what it does is if you're still drinking alcohol, you produce acetone in your body, which is highly flammable.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. Huh.
Well, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, but like, isn't it a problem with manure that it will just light on fire?
Yes, that's because of the nitrogen in it.
Yeah.
That can also happen with grain. Like I've seen videos of grain silos just exploding, and that's because of the the particles are in it. Yeah, when I worked at the brewery, they would have like they would bring in like a truck would come in and it would dump grain into like a silo they had, and they're like,
one, you don't want to stand out there when you have it because you can't breathe. And they're like, if somebody lights a match out there, basically the entire thing explodes into a ball of fire. It's all dry particles in the air, and they will just instantly catch up, and they're everywhere.
On fire! Holy shit!
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like a crazy ass thing. But yeah, there's like it's like there's basically like it's funny because it's such a goofy thing, spontaneous. Like I remember, I think I wrote a thing like South Park. It's like, yeah, South Park did an episode of guys holding their farts while they're going on dates. Like if they hold them in too long, they spontaneously explode. Yes. So like, yeah, it's something that kind of, it's a funny story, and like there's like a bunch of stories. It's just crazy how big it was, and yeah, basically modern science and clothing kind of got rid of it.
Hell yeah.
I just love it. Like, I'm just imagining like, you know, like a 1940s director or someone like detective, like with his hands on his hips going like, I got it. It was spontaneous human combustion.
Yes. There are some pictures if you want me to show them of what this looks like.
I've seen them. Well, here's the thing. It's gonna sound weird, but like once you've seen one picture of one of these things, you've seen all of them because it's like,
pretty much.
Well, here's a pile of soot and an ankle.
Here's the cover of like the thing I was reading, what they posted.
I love this Looney Tunes shit.
That's like show art.
That's like the best.
I don't know about that, but it is very. That's very Twin Peaksy. That's what that reminds me.
Oh my god! I know the fucking curtains behind it. Why?
It looks like a Tom and Jerry background.
Yeah, it does.
For those not seeing this, is this a fucking crude cartoon of a green comfy chair and just a black ashy outline of a human being with smoldering shoes and purple and white show curtains behind it on like a wooden.
I think it's supposed to be wallpaper.
It looks like a fucking stage. Like looks like Mario and Luigi are about to come out and pull the curtains back and find out you're actually playing Super Mario 3.
I guess they found out that gum they liked isn't coming back.
It's not coming back in style, so they just burst into flames. And then they turn into a weird chrome ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was my story of the Christmas with the Roonies in 1885.
So it was the Christmas that actually wasn't.
Yeah.
Ha ha!
No.
Movie dumpster tie-in.
Anyway, who's next?
Joe will appreciate that joke.
Yes, Joe will. Okay, time to get real fucking dark here. Okay. In Los Angeles, Griffin Park at 2475 Glendower Place. At 4:30 a.m. on December 6th, 1959, 50-year-old Dr. Harold Perelson stood over his wife Lillian's sleeping body and in one swift move slammed a ball-peen hammer into her head.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I think I know this story.
Her blood pooled quickly.
Oh, this is very similar to a TV show.
Yeah, and she eventually drowned in it, with asphyxiation being listed as her official cause of death. Covered in Lillian's blood, Perelson carried on into his 18-year-old daughter Judie's room, room, and proceeded to strike her as well, but it was dark, so it was only a glancing blow. Somehow she got away, but she was screaming. It woke up her neighbors and her siblings. A neighbor from the time, Sherry Lewis, reported that it sounded like a wild animal screaming. Don't kill me, she was heard pleading, while her father demanded that she lay still and be quiet. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm. Her younger siblings were awoke, finding the bloodbath in the next room.
Oh, no.
Judy, I don't know. It's a weird spelling of Judy. She started running to neighbors' houses and frantically banging on their doors. So it is very much like Halloween, the film, in some ways. But her siblings woke 11-year-old Debbie and 13-year-old Joe, When they got up to investigate what was happening, they found their father covered in blood, still holding the murder weapon. And he said to them, "This is a nightmare. Go back to sleep."
Oh,
Sir?
Wow.
Yeah.
Daddy.
Yeah, she returned. Judy returned later with a neighbor named Marshall Ross, who had called the police. But Perelson had proceeded to rip open 2 capsules of Nembutal, a drug
Nembutal.
popular with suicides and euthanasias,
Mhm.
and down them, followed by over 30 pills of a form of codeine from the time.
What year was this?
1959.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah,
That
he was a
tracks.
doctor. That's
Yeah.
the important
Yes.
factor of this.
I've heard this story before. I think, if I'm right, there's like an interesting detail at the end,
I
right?
don't know anything about this.
This is the famous Los Feliz murder house. This is something that people from LA know about. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris Smith was on, if he would say, "Yeah, I've heard about this place."
Because
Because
the
it's
Christmas
just-
presents thing, right?
Yes. So
Yes.
so there's a lot of creepy stuff about this. But the strangest thing is that house, it's mostly been untouched since this happened.
Wonder why.
People were able to go up to windows.
I can't
see-
figure it out.
and see a Christmas tree set up with presents still underneath it.
What?
Yeah, real, just fucked shit.
Wait,
And
I'm
there's-
sorry. So you're saying that the Christmas tree that was there that night
Yes,
was left there in the house for a long time afterwards?
Yes, for like
Fuck
decades. From what I
everything
heard,
about
it was
this
like
story.
decades.
It was
Yeah.
evidence. They weren't sure if maybe the tree was the
Well,
guilty suspect.
even after it was
And
sold,
then it turns out he was, they imprisoned him inside the house.
it was
Right,
that
exactly.
homunculi.
Yes, it's the Christmas homunculi. But yeah, there's just a lot of creepy details about this story. They found a copy of Dante's Divine Comedy open at a page with the quote, "Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a dark forest, for the straightforward path had been lost." So yeah,
Ugh.
this guy was clearly like
Was
very
fucking red rum
suicidal.
like
Yeah,
found on the walls too?
yeah.
Like,
it might as well have been.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like if I remember correctly, his business was basically going under. He couldn't afford anything, and
So-
instead of like revealing that to his
Yeah.
family, he just tried to murder them all.
So basically,
I'm
he had been in 2 major lawsuits, or been involved in 2 major lawsuits. One was with a business partner who stole his patent for the modern day syringe, like the one that people still use today. Apparently, he invented it, or he was part of inventing it. I don't know if it's the exact same one. I'm sure innovations have happened, but what he made was new for the time. And his partner cheated him out of it. He sued him, and it was supposed to be a suit for $100,000. And he ended up getting $24,000. And it was a big suit at the time, and you can imagine that $24K barely even covers it when you put in legal
I'm
fees
sure he got
and all
absolutely
that.
dragged over the coals in legal fees. So.
Yeah,
I just wanted to say this sounds like a story that Nick Cave would write a song about. Like, I don't understand why this has never been written about like that.
One of the craziest parts I remember is they had a chandelier, and it ended up being a Tiffany's chandelier that was worth like $100,000 at the time. And if he would have just sold that, they would have been fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. Like, this is a very nice house. If he had just said, "Let's sell the house," move to a smaller one, they probably would have been fine.
He had a nervous breakdown and went fucking crazy.
Yes. Also, so this is the second lawsuit where Judier. I'm really bothered by this spelling of the name. I don't know why anybody would put a Y then an E. in the name Judy, but that's how it's spelled by this madman. Clearly,
Well, you know.
The signs were there; they were early.
But she apparently got into a car accident while driving her siblings around, and it cost him about $20,000. So yeah, he was probably out quite a bit of money. And the two things just so yeah, he was not doing well, and I think it just overstressed him, and he wasn't able to take himself out of the mind space of that time, which is the 1950s, where you have a home and you have a family, and your family is perfect. It doesn't matter if there are little seams, you ignore it and you just keep on going.
You're the father and you provide.
Yes.
And in this case, you provide a few hits with a ball-peen hammer.
Also, Christmas makes people fucking crazy.
Yes.
Yep. It does.
Yeah. It adds this weird stress to people's lives. That
Good job, Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's not even that. It's like I read a thing the other day that was like, it's just something we've all known for years. And the headline of this article was like, new study proves holiday music is bad for your mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like,
this is old holiday music too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh god. All holiday music is old holiday music, okay? There's no such thing as new holiday music.
This is the music that was old then. This is 1850 shit that's still around.
But it's just holiday music is just I feel like that is part of the Christmas grind of gotta fucking do it, and it's here all month, and it will remind you the entire time of all this stupid shit you have to do.
All month, motherfucker. We're talking about the day after Halloween they start playing stuff around here.
Oh yeah. Especially
But I was reading when I was doing research for mine that crime goes way up during the holidays.
Yeah, people go fucking insane.
Well, there's crime, it's suicides, and then I think I was listening to something, and they're like, New Year's Eve is the highest, the day where the most pedestrians are hit by cars, because people go to walk home and then are hit by people who don't walk home and are drunk.
Yeah.
Also, here's something else. This is one of the more depressing parts of my career. The holiday season is euthanasia nation. Okay,
nope, I don't like that. I don't like it.
It's because everyone's either waiting for the holiday, the last holiday with their pet, so they can get a new one, or it has to be done before Christmas rolls around because they can no longer afford any more medical expenses.
Yeah.
Right. Well, isn't it also a thing where people buy pets that they shouldn't? And
Yes. People get pets they don't fucking need, don't want, can't take care of, don't understand. They adopt them in mass. Huskies are some of the worst animals to suffer from this.
It's basically people are restocking the local animal shelters. Because those animals are going to end up there. Yeah,
every fucking year they do
because
it.
People don't understand that puppies grow into adolescent assholes, and you actually have to work with them to get them to be good dogs.
Right.
Yeah.
There's
an adolescent asshole who lives here who treats me like dirt when I'm here, but when Ashley and Dean leave, I'm his best fucking friend.
He's a teenager.
Yeah. And then yesterday Dean left early in the night to go out with his friend. So me and Ashley come home. This motherfucker sat in his cage the whole time and pouted and pouted. And I went over there. He tried to bite me. I was like, "Fuck you!" And he comes home. He runs out of his fucking cage, because he's Dean's boy, and there's nothing we can do about it. But yeah, he's in his terrible twos. But yeah, it's the fucking animal shelters get filled up. Old crusty pets that have been around. They've suffered from something we call TMB, which is too many birthdays. Huh?
That's a little bit fucked.
It is, but there is a case where someone brings in not to go off a really sad path here. Someone brings in oh, here's my lifelong companion. I've had him since he was a kitten. He's 24 years old. It's oh, Jesus Christ! Why'd you let your cat live to 24?
Oh,
He can't walk, and I have to hold him when he poops. But he's my
Here's the
buddy.
thing: someone actually, the other hospital I worked at, and this is very much in line with the tone of this story. Someone brought in a cat, and it was checked in for lethargic, not eating, not drinking. And the quick-witted here will probably catch on to what's going on here real fast. So we bring this cat back in the carrier. I open it and I go, "What was this checked in for?" And they go, "Lethargic, not eating, not drinking." I'm like, "This cat's fucking dead."
Yeah.
That is pretty lethargic.
I was like, "Of course lethargic. Of course not eating, not drinking. It doesn't have a pulse."
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard as lethargic.
Yeah, and like it wasn't like not even fresh dead. Like
Oh God.
Oh no!
Like-
So wait,
Very-
they scooped it up and put it in the carrier to bring to you.
person was very old, and like
Oh no!
just came across their animal in a position they thought was napping, and they're like, "Oh, he's not moving, he's not talking, he's not eating, he's not drinking. I don't know what's wrong." It's like, well, there's
It's
nothing
like
wrong
the same
with
thing that's going to
now.
happen to you.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mention old people doing this with their pets, because with the medical field that I'm in, it's all the old people on Earth are getting every bit of their joints replaced around this time of year because
Yep.
they don't want to pay their deductible again starting in January. So all
Yeah.
of the
That's
surgeons
smarts.
load everything up from basically October until like the middle of January. So I think everyone in the Lancaster area has basically, yeah, I think everybody in the Lancaster area who's over the age of 60 has new knees or new hips by the time Christmas rolls around.
Does
It's
that I was going to say,
insane.
does that include you? Are you speaking from experience?
no, I'm just dust held in a
Yeah.
fluid at this
Eric
point.
is kind of like the stretched skin from Doctor Who season 1. Just like,
Yes.
Well,
that just has
I'm,
it's just like moisturize me.
Moisturize me. Yes. moisturize.
either that or Lou. I'm the one guy from the Morrison New X-Men run who was just that clear bag of goo with eyeballs. I can't remember his name, but yeah, that's me at this point. I don't really have a bone structure.
Yeah. So, I doubt the story ended at, and then he killed his wife. So I mean,
Right.
hold on. What happens to the two siblings in the house?
So they survived. Luckily, the police came, and he killed himself before he could.
Yeah,
hurt
The only
them.
the only people that die are him and the wife.
Him, the wife, and the daughter's traumatized. Probably.
Yeah.
You don't say.
Most likely.
Someone's like,
Nobody
"You okay?"
knows,
She's like,
though.
"Yeah, I'm good."
Because she disappeared shortly after this. Nobody was able to find where she was. Her and the siblings, of course. Presumably they changed their names, went off somewhere.
I fucking would. I know that, and I know the Amityville house kid did. He's lived like in like 15 different fucking towns, and every time people find out who he is, he has to leave.
Well,
Yeah.
crazy theory. What if these kids didn't change their name and disappeared, but Santa came to finish the job that Daddy started?
The
Possibly.
night Papa went crazy.
He came on December 7th early to really, so nobody
Exactly.
would suspect.
Arlen, did you get to the other
Oh,
part of the story with who bought the house?
Oh yeah, so I was kind of waiting for
It was Zach
go.
Bagans, wasn't it?
No,
Here,
it's
no.
actually like
Was
think
it
it's
Nicolas
actually more
Cage?
insane. No.
No, so it's a Latino family. I'm presuming a lot, but it seemingly bought the house shortly after, only a year after, actually.
God.
But the sort of weird twist to it is that they never lived in the house.
What?
They used it as primarily a storage, and there are quotes from the people who bought it, both from their son or mostly from their son, I think, saying that they would never live in the house, or that they had no desire to actually live in
Good.
the house.
Yeah.
I mean, which I understand, but at the same time, they still owned it. They didn't sell it. They just held on to it
Also,
while
even-
living somewhere else.
Even if it's used as storage, like you're not gonna take down the fucking Christmas tree.
Right.
No, it's good.
They just left it up, and it got to a point where in the 90s, the two people who bought the house, they died, and their son took it over, and he started to just like let people go in there. Like he wouldn't call the cops if like prostitutes and drug dealers and homeless people started living in there. and it just
You're
became
all right.
like
Get in.
a den of crime.
Holy shit!
How
You know-
this immediately became like the penguin's lair.
Yes.
Well, in a way, I could see that as being like, for lack of better term, psychic sponges. Like, let them absorb all that bullshit, and then once they go out and bring their horror upon the world, like, you can just burn the house down and salt the ground that it was on, and never do anything with it again.
Yeah, and I think
I mean, didn't something similar happen to the Sharon Tate's house? So I know it's been purchased, but then I think the house was fucking demolished.
I
the
thought
house was demolished, but people did live there. They actively lived there. Trent Reznor recorded an album there.
Of course.
Why?
Because why not? I guess. But he did. I know at some point. And then it's him or somebody else bought a door off of it and
Probably
put
Dave
it in their
Navarro.
house, something like that. Or was that Zach Wagon? It was probably Dave Navarro.
I was in
I would say it's probably not Dave Navarro, since he has his own like crazy thing that happened to him.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck,
but
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about that.
Dave Navarro's mom was murdered.
What?
And he was almost,
yeah.
and he was almost killed. It was his it was his mom's ex-boyfriend who was a bodybuilder. And he almost killed Dave. And like Dave kind of talked his way out of it or something. And then the guy came back and killed his mom, I believe.
The way Connor was going, I don't know. Made it sound like he did it.
I don't think about it. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
I wasn't there. You can't put me in that same.
Yeah, and that's basically what he says is like why he got all gothy.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that aspect, because I remember him like talking about like having a coffin that he sleeps in sometimes, and I was like, okay, Dave. And then hearing that story, I'm like, oh, okay, Dave. It's okay, Dave. You do what you need to do, man. Yeah.
You might have too much respect for actual dead people and dead things. Then maybe I don't know.
The guy was on the run for 8 years after he killed his mom.
Oh, so yeah, that's some fucking terror that's gonna be left in you for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what was there? I'm assuming there's more to this, or is just like
there's just slightly more.
Okay.
Well, like, so people who have broken in, who have snuck in, they've reported some weird, unusual things. They've seen apparitions in the windows and some of the basic stuff that you get with a ghost story.
Yeah.
The tree thing has sort of caused all these conspiracies about the house and about who lived there, because it's widely believed that the Perelsons were Jewish, despite them having a Christmas tree. Nowadays, I think that wouldn't be that weird because Christmas is kind of non-secular, or it is secular.
They've also might have
could
done both.
Yeah, they might have just celebrated it to.
It might be also that they were Jewish, but not practicing.
Yeah, not practicing. Yeah, I can see that. But still, it's an interesting thing. But that's led to conspiracies about there was a second family living in the house and maybe they never left, and all that kind of.
Wait, you said something
stuff.
about a tree.
There's the Christmas tree that we were talking about.
The Christmas tree. Okay, sorry.
Left preserved.
I was thinking there was a tree outside.
What if
it's sort of
what if it's
background.
the
Hanukkah Harry?
No, I'm drawing a blank here. The family that used it for storage. What if they just kept the Christmas tree there?
They might have. That's the thing. I think that they might have tried to move in and something happened. But nobody's ever confirmed this, and it makes me think that this is, as I used in a previous episode, this is sort of a Schrodinger's house of ghost stuff, where for 50 years nobody's lived there, but like I kind of want to imagine if they had, like, what stories would we have? Would this be another Villisca house or a Sally house?
Yeah, because from what I was reading, like the son of the family that bought it now owns it.
He's
a producer.
And,
okay, he sold it recently.
And I'm not really
He said at one
Yeah.
point all he would do is like he had cats there and he would just go and feed the cats. Like he never lived there
Yes,
either.
he
Those
had cats that were living there. He had
those
2
cats
cats
are
that were
hard
living
as
there.
fuck.
Yeah,
No, well then that house is uninhabitable at this point, anyways. If you just had
Exactly.
cats in there, yeah. Yeah.
You just
Well-
go to the house. There's a cat smoking a cigarette on the front step.
Any number of cats in a house by themselves. Like, oh, well, it belongs to the cats now.
yes.
Yeah,
it's-
I'm
it's
sure
the
like it
cat's
also
house.
had
It's the cat's
insane
house.
amount of
Wow.
squatters in it with how big it was.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
very big.
imagining like season 3 or 4 of Breaking Bad, like Jesse's house.
Mhm. And you can see pictures of it. I put pictures.
Yeah, I
in
put some
the-
pictures in the chat.
and there's a big link, and they're very eerie. This place just looks very eerie. It gives a sort of creepy haunted
Yeah.
house vibe.
I feel like a lot of it is because that family just didn't do anything with it for 50 years,
Mhm.
which is kind of insane. And that's why it's this weird like time capsule. Like it's this horrible story that has then with them not doing anything is this insane time capsule.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
essentially the house is frozen in time in a particular, like, I wouldn't say moment, but like time period from when did this take place? 1950 what?
Yeah, like
1959.
So for like fucking 60 years, this house has essentially had the same sort of attitude and aesthetic as the night of these murders, and that's fucking terrifying.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
And for context, this is before JFK died. This is before the moon landing. This is before just any list of things before the end of the Cold War, so on and so forth. Just like so
I
long
mean,
ago.
I know there was a brutal murder there and just horrible bad vibes, but man, those floors look immaculate in this one picture.
They
That's
they
some
they
good
are
looking
very
hardwood
nice
floors.
Yeah, those
Yeah, well, this
ghosts
is back. This is back when houses were built to last.
Mm-hmm.
When America
Yeah.
was great.
Just lots of creepy. God damn it, Lou! Only you're allowed to say that.
I know, that's why I had to say it because I'm the only one that could, and there was a joke there. I had to pick it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, like an old bag of Tidy Cat from like the 1950s. Like,
Yeah, there is some stuff though that you can tell is from the second family because there's like
yes,
those one things say like 1977. So like they also like threw a bunch of their shit in the house, and then it's
yes,
like
they did.
so it's like oh this is murder family stuff, and then this random Hispanic family in the 60s just like threw their
Yeah.
other shit into this.
Yeah, imagine you're part of that family, you go back and you're like, hold on, is this ours? People's.
Right.
imagine if you're those ghosts. That's kind of insulting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hey, we've
Are
got
you living here?
fresh victims walk in, throw their shit at you, and walk out. You're like, what the fuck?
Oh,
This is rude
wow.
as hell.
Yeah, it's like I haven't felt so disrespected since I was murdered.
What's weird is this reminds me of one that happened in New Jersey. It wasn't Christmas, but it reminds me of the John List murders. You guys know that one in
I
the
don't know what those
70s?
We'll have to revisit that so we can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's creepy. Old pictures of typewriters and shit with missing keys and dolls and
Yeah. Yeah, this is unsettling.
I don't like.
There's some also this is the other thing. People like to say that the doctor drank acid before he died. Like,
Oh no, he didn't.
yeah, I know about that, but like, there's a picture of a bottle
Wait.
of acid.
Do they mean
Yeah, also-
acid like
Not
like like the
No,
hallucinogen?
not
Not the-
lysergic,
yeah.
blah 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 blah. Yeah, not
right.
LSD.
Yeah, not that kind. Yeah.
Which it wouldn't have even
The-
been known as acid back then. It would have been known as LSD.
Could you imagine
It was being
in,
used
like-
in psychology.
all this like dumb shit they have in there. There's like a copy of like Action Number 1 and a Honus
Oh,
Wagner
God.
baseball card, and like every missing like thing that because like each thing is worth like $2 billion. It's just sitting in
Probably.
these some boxes.
Jimmy
Yes,
Hoffa's
go for it.
Jimmy Hoffa's corpse is in like a closet.
Jesus
Yes, probably.
Christ. All right, Hunter, do you want to go next, or do you want me to
Sure.
go next?
So,
Okay.
well, we're gonna go straight back to Bummer Town. So, this is a weird bit of synchronicity that I had. So this case happened about 28 years ago yesterday.
Mine happened December 6th. It is December 7th when we were recording this. So
It's crazy.
yeah.
How that
Were
happened.
any of you alive or not alive when this happened then?
This happened in 1991. Sorry.
Oh,
Oh, so
Yeah, this is 3 years before I was born.
Me and
Yeah,
Eric,
yeah.
me and Eric might have. I might have fleeting memories of this, and Eric might.
yeah,
I
I,
was
might have
5
fleeting
years-
memories.
I was 5 years away from graduating high school, so yes.
I was 5 years
Probably.
old.
Yeah.
I think. Wait, right?
Anyway,
91,
continue.
right?
So, December 6th, 1991. A body was discovered in a house on 661 Union Avenue in Laconia, which is like a town that I work in and essentially live in. She was found strangled to death. And there was like the crazy thing is I can't find any evidence of like a break-in or anything whenever I've read about this case.
Mm.
Like she just strangled to death like in her bed. So and this is a short story because there's not a whole lot of evidence that's like readily available. So there was the weird thing about this is that there was a guy who was like charged for it, and his charges were dropped because a witness was like, "Oh yeah, all that shit I said about him doing it, I lied."
Oh.
So
Oh wow, that's easy.
this is now a cold case that's like a super big deal down here. Like this lady was like killed in her apartment and was not found for like several days. And I thought I'd just bring it up because the weird synchronicity around it, especially now that you brought the murder mansion.
Yeah,
That's fucking weird.
that is weird. Yeah, and the similar dates and all that. It makes me, and I mean, Pearl Harbor Day, is that today or is that?
That was yesterday.
It was yesterday. Yeah, so it does make you wonder if December 6th is just like a bad day.
Well, I mean, like if you want to have a little controlled experiment, I guess is like look up like maybe crime rates on September 11th. Like, is there a correlation there? Because I know, and we were talking about it today at work. Like, there were some people who didn't know what today meant historically, and I brought it up. I was like, yeah, because people who are a couple of generations below us are like 9/11's their fucking Pearl Harbor Day. Like they had one,
and they don't even realize what that was. Because I'm trying to think, if you're in high school right now, you're like 16. You weren't alive when 9/11 happened.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
and I was. I remember where I was in high school when fucking 9/11 happened.
And Eric was on his 10th job, getting 10
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
You know, actually, that's not that far off.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that like maybe that time of year for when did this happen, Hunter?
1991.
Oh wow, okay, that's still too far removed from like fucking prohibition and like shit like that,
Yeah.
like or like the woes of that time period, like around Pearl Harbor, like the stuff that like really fucked people up for a bit. Like I can imagine that being kind of made worse by like, oh, here's this day we all remember because like lots of our soldiers were murdered over in that fucking harbor over there, in that port. But I don't know, 1991. I don't know, like what fucked you up so bad where you wandered into some woman's house and strangled her?
Right. Was it the fall of the Soviet Union? Did that really? Did that really?
That should not be funny, and it really is.
Well, that wasn't really until like 93 or so that really started to take effect.
Yeah.
That's when the
That's
when the
Boris Yeltsin and all the leaders of the subsequent countries, they signed the dissolution of the USSR in 91.
When did David Hasselhoff go there and start to tear down that wall? Because that is the real day. That's the day I celebrate.
I heard a crazy story about how they actually like how the wall started to come
Early
down,
80s.
which is because like they were like, we're gonna relax the travel restrictions, and like through telephone that became like, oh, their travel restrictions are up. Okay, we're gonna go see our mom, like whatever, and like so people were just passing through, and soldiers of the wall were like, I guess go ahead, knock yourself out. Like I guess all these people are here, it must be true. And after a while, they're like, all right, I guess the wall has to come down now because what the fuck's the point? It doesn't work.
Okay.
Oh yeah, when my brother was in high school, and I think I was in middle school, we had a German exchange student, and when the wall came down, he actually sent us.
That was a dangerous time to be German.
No, it wasn't. It was a dangerous time to be anything but German. Yeah, but with the mentioning of a cold case that is unsolved, it's not connected to what I have, but in my area, you guys might have seen something on the news. There was a local DJ who was connected to a cold case from, like, I want to say 99, 2000, that this woman was raped and brutally murdered.
Oh, I feel like I heard about
DJ Freeze, Ray Rowe. And he was a guy I actually knew because I worked as a quote unquote bouncer at the bar that he DJ'd at, because I knew the owners, and they're like, hey, you want to just come and check IDs? But yeah, he seemed like the nicest guy on earth when I met him, and then he got super Christian like maybe 10, 12 years ago, and super right wing. Well, I mean, this was back in the 90s. I think he was just feeling guilty. Like he became a super Trump supporter. He got a mail order bride, essentially, like a woman.
I found the January headline from this.
Mm-hmm.
From this year, actually.
Oh yeah. From Raymond Rowe, DJ Freeze, local Lancaster DJ, is murder.
He's guilty of raping and murdering Christy Marek in 1992.
Yep. And like nobody really knows why it happened. Like he was somebody, like, I remember like talking with him before because he used to own a like local hip hop record store, which was one of the few things that in Lancaster that existed like that. And just, talking to him, and he didn't bring up his past at all. He's like, oh, I was into some bad shit back then. I don't do that anymore. And now it's like, oh yeah, you were, weren't you, you asshole? And it was really weird. Like, go ahead.
Here's the thing with that and like cold cases now, and this ties into something I think I shared on Reddit a while ago. Like, someone put in the I can't remember what subreddit it is, where you just like you anonymously like kind of just spill out like really private information. Mm-hmm. And one of the topics was like, have you killed someone before and how? And this guy starts this person starts talking about how there was this like either like slow kid or like
I know this one
kid or something that like they had some kind of problem with, and that they basically think they might have accidentally killed him and didn't tell anybody because they basically might have accidentally pushed him off a cliff. And
I think I heard about this.
Saw him on the ground and went home and didn't say anything. And that night, a massive fucking thunderstorm came through, and it was an area that floods. So this kid just disappeared. But the post was like, we saw him fall. We went home, and like it stormed that night, and like it's in town. It's just like he disappeared. That's all like ever came up with it. And he kind of wondered, like he like trailed it off with like I wonder if anything's ever come up with that. You don't do this to Reddit and expect them not to go insane and find out like weird, like critical evidence that like links it to it. And I'm with cold cases now, with stuff like this fucking DJ Freeze guy, and like maybe even related to this thing Hunter brought up. Like, I feel like nowadays, if you killed somebody, in an era like 1991, 1992, you should probably shut all the way the fuck up, because the spread of information and with the technology we have now and the internet and social media and all that shit, you'll get outed in like days.
Actually,
they found out who the kid was very quick.
Like, they found out who the kid went missing was.
Well, that's mentioning technology. The way that DJ Freeze was caught was through an Ancestry.com type thing.
Oh yeah, which I love that stuff.
Yep, somebody had put in like who's a member of his family, like had put in their stuff, and that matched. It had a trace match to DNA they found.
I will say this: if anybody wants to do this, like I have, you go to it's called GED GED Match, and you could import your stuff from one of the other DNA sites like Ancestry or 23andMe, and that's the open one where anybody can put their stuff and compare to.
Interesting. But yeah, the way that they were finally able to get a full DNA match was they had somebody either undercover or something along those lines at an event he was DJing, and they got a bottle of water he drank from and a piece of gum he spit out, and that was how they got a full match.
Wow.
On DNA. Yeah,
Well, that's what they did with the Golden State Killer. They waited till he threw out his garbage or something, a coffee cup.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Hunter, was there any further developments on that?
No, the family is still like, I've never met the family, but like they're occasionally pop up in the paper talking about it. I did find some additional information that like she had a husband who was like a habitual offender who went to jail.
Oh.
So starting to think maybe.
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, that when you said no signs of a break-in, no signs of a real struggle, like, isn't that usually, like, especially in kidnappings, like they're like, oh well, you know, first suspect is usually someone close to the family.
Well, like 99% of all like murders like that are by somebody you know.
Yeah,
It's like that 1%, which is probably not even true. It's probably like more than that, is by a stranger, which is why those are so difficult to solve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what is what is that
especially
guy
when they're
now?
like, go ahead.
No, that trucker guy. They confirmed like 80 or something like that. And
Yeah.
they think it's like
My wife and I were talking about that on our drive down to Florida. Yeah, I can't remember, but because
I was
his.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Arlen. Go ahead.
No, you. You.
I was just gonna say, like, his stuff came out around the same time. There's also another guy who had admitted to like something along like 90 or like or some ridiculously high number of murders.
The Israel Keys guy, but he seems like kind of more of a dipshit.
Is a moron who just
that was the one with the weird kill kits that he would have places.
Yeah,
the other one,
he was super into new metal.
Oh, I know Israel Key. Yeah,
he was the Alaskan guy.
He was the one who abducted the girl from the coffee stand at night, right?
Yes, and that's what got him caught because he did it in his hometown.
Yeah,
all the other ones he was doing out and about in the country.
Yeah, and like there's footage of not him, but like I think his vehicle and like the girl from the inside, and like I believe his girlfriend is also one of the people who helped get child.
Well, they tracked him down because he was using her ATM card in like Texas. And he didn't know that there was like a limit, so he kept going to different ATMs. They're like, oh, it's obviously this thing, and they're like, all right, he's on this track, and they found him. The other guy was like a trucker, and he would like pick up like women and then kill them, but then he wouldn't dump them for like 2 states.
And then he would take Polaroids with young boys with the girls as well.
Fucked up.
Callback.
I guess we'll do mine then, since I have the last one. Mine is definitely not quite as horrific.
I was saying, Hunter's is the first one where it's like, and it's relevant because it's his town. And I get that because like there's some weird shit that happened in fucking Tom's River that even Lou might remember. But like it's one of the first times. There's only been a handful of episodes or something. He's just like, yeah, this person was murdered. That's it.
Good night, everybody.
Well, no, I think it is December 6th of it all is worth it.
Great ride to Bummer Town. We're just like, and then someone was killed, and no one caught the person who did it. Goodbye.
They almost did, and they dropped. The witness was like, lied. Fuck you.
Lied. Mulligan.
That happened a lot, though. There was a guy who was on Valium who confessed. That was not a smart idea.
Reliable. That's a reliable person. So mine. It's actually this man and a woman. They were looking for a place to stay. This was around like Christmas Eve, I think. They're looking for some place to stay, and they're getting told no, you can stay at the barn. No, the crazy thing is,
kidding me? It's the Heartbreak Hotel.
No,
wait, what? That is what you.
What the fuck? Is that what you meant?
No, that's not it at all. But it is kind of crazy. The story of Jesus, you idiot.
The story of Jesus. Like, how did you not get that?
The crazy thing is, though, he ended up.
That's how little that story means to me.
He ended up becoming a zombie then, which is really weird. No, all right. So, this does
to dwell.
I'm glad that you went there.
I was waiting for that.
Who else was going to? No, this one does actually take place in Christmas morning. It's in Warminster, which is apparently in England, or at least in the UK. England is incorrect.
Sounds like England.
Yeah, it sounds like some far-off hamlet or whatever. And residents were disturbed by a strange series of noises which consisted of strong pounding vibrations and could be best described as sonic attacks. One resident was awakened by the reported sound of something falling onto her roof. When she looked out the window, she heard a strange humming noise. But the weather was clear and nothing had come into contact with the roof. This same experience was reported by many different residents in different locations that morning, including 30 soldiers at a nearby base camp. However, no one saw anything strange, nor could they figure out where these sounds originated. So basically what it was is that all of these people in this one area were being sonically assaulted. And this was in 1964, which was a year before a huge amount of UFO sightings started to happen in Warminster. And from 1965 up and through the 1970s, Warminster was basically England's hotspot for UFOs, apparently. One of them, if not the main one. It's kind of crazy to hear about this one woman describing the being overwhelmed by the vibrating noises, that she was knocked to the ground and rendered unable to move. In her own words, she was pinned down by the invisible fingers of sound, which is the most British way to say I was pinned down by the invisible fingers of sound. Yeah, noises were eventually nicknamed the Thing. By summer 1965, witnesses started reporting unidentified flying objects in the sky. Now, the inclusion of a military base being nearby, I think, is a somewhat easy answer to go with, but mass sightings of UFOs are always kind of weird to me, because if it's one or two isolated people, you can be like, yeah, you fucking crazy asshole, whatever. But when you've got 30 to 40 people all from the same town that all know each other.
Thank you. Because my thing with the paranormal, like, especially when it comes to like hardcore skeptics who are like, fuck you, that's not real, it's bullshit, you didn't see that, they didn't see that. It's like, all right, like, it takes a lot to tell one person what they saw or didn't see when you are not a part of the equation. It takes a whole different set of like balls to tell an entire town you didn't see anything. And like I know mass stories of like abductions are like, no, you got drunk in the South, and there were no cell phones.
You saw Mexicans, but you thought they were something else.
They were goblins. You motherfucker. Hey, I'm making a joke about it now.
Great horned owls.
Like,
I did not bring up the South.
When there's that many, especially like, I think we talked about this with Mothman, where it's when that many independent sources are slowly starting to come together organically, not 100 people in a room who are all there conveniently, who are all like, one person goes, "We saw a UFO." Isn't that right, folks?
You know,
like,
the you know the thing about Indrid Cold. You know the whole story about Indrid Cold, like Lanulos stuff. I found out something interesting in that the Lanulos, the planet that he claims he's from, was described by someone like a year before who also went to Lanulos, apparently. Before Woodrow Durenberger came out with that book or even made any of that public, he described the same exact thing.
That's fucking bizarre.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this one from 1965 August could be just a meteor, but detonation noise rocked houses on the town's Boreham Field housing estate before a monstrous orange flame was seen in the sky, crackling and hissing. There were also reports of strange sounds killing flocks of pigeons that year, as had also been claimed 12 months previously in 1964.
Can I say what I think this is?
Yeah, go for it.
So this is 1965, right?
64, 65. Yeah. 64 is when all the noises and whatnot were happening. 65 is when a lot of the UFO sightings started.
So you know what else was going on around this time in the world?
LSD.
The space race.
Yeah.
So
that comes to mind for me as well.
That does, but I didn't
and
really
the sound was like
think but I didn't think the UK was involved with it as much.
They
That's
could have
the
been
thing.
testing like rockets, like just
Yeah.
specifically rockets.
Possibly.
Like, this
Russians or
sounds
something.
honestly, this sounds more like weapons, like pacification weapons testing.
Right.
Yeah, and if they're like was it like the cylindrical like UFOs? Like that sounds like it could be some sort of like missile testing, like something like that, and they're firing it out into the
Or, like,
ocean.
Because
You know-
well, especially because like everything I've heard about the military from people who are close to it, like the general word is like, "Oh, you think you've seen the toys that they have? No, you haven't."
Yeah, no, we
Right.
see stuff like 40 years, 50 years later,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
see
I
the
sent
fucking, we see the fucking Death Star that Hitler tried to build that's fucking abandoned somewhere. That
Yeah,
nuclear.
I sent
There
sent,
was
like the only blurry picture that showed up in any of the articles I read about this
Yeah.
over the chat.
I
there,
can't
Yeah.
there
It's a
used to
cheeseburger.
be there used to be an awesome Discovery Channel show called like Future Weapons, and it was like, oh, here's the stuff that the military is going to show, and just the gun stuff. I was like, holy shit! They had like, can't remember what movie it is, but where the guy like flips the gun around a corner.
Yeah,
Like that is real.
Mhm.
that's a real
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
And they had like bullets with chips in them, so it's like, oh, I like hit the button on the gun, I shoot this bullet, and then now my gun will not. I'll hold my finger on the trigger, and the gun will not shoot unless I'm pointing into the direction of that first bullet.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And that's what they were showing on the Discovery Channel like a decade ago.
I love.
Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna love 50 years from now when we find out Hitler was building a Metal Gear.
I mean, here's a Hunter.
Right.
Hunter, have you seen the picture of like? Was it a nuclear cannon?
It was something. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've seen it. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, well,
It's-
there's a
it's-
reason why.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, there's
Well,
a reason
the
why
Mega
us and,
Panzer or whatever.
yeah, us and Russia were
Oh,
trying to
God.
poach all those Nazi scientists.
Yeah.
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 Like we built
Well,
NASA on like a guy that
Yeah.
should have been put into Nuremberg's
Yeah.
war crimes.
yeah.
This is my walking nuclear tank. We call him the Metal Gear.
What do you mean I can't put the two S's on it?
Where
That's
is
a
my
super
ninja? Where is my ninja?
It's like Dr. Strangelove. He's trying to put his hand up. Mein Führer, I cannot.
But yeah, I mean, I think with the military base being located right nearby, it's probably very likely that it was military experiments and space race, as you guys
Yeah.
are saying, just as much as Deltalov or Datalov, whatever it is, pass was the Russian military doing all types of hinky things, and all those people
Right.
got terribly.
See, like I can believe that, but like, there's some things about Dyatlov that are still really fucking weird. Like,
Oh, yeah, the person
let's
who
assume it
pulled their
was a
tongue
weapons test. The tongue, like the
Yeah.
internal injuries that one girl suffered, it's like you'd have to get hit by a bus,
yeah,
like
Right.
to sustain the kinds of injuries this one person had in that group. And it's that's
genuinely-
one of the
I
weirder
genuinely-
things about there, where it's like, yeah, this person was essentially crushed by something fucking invisible.
Mm.
Well,
I genuinely
it's-
think Dyatlov was the Russian government, but like there are things about it that I'm like, even that seems like a stretch.
Yeah, well, air pressure and stuff does weird ass shit to the human body.
Yeah.
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 Well, the other idea for Dyatlov Pass is you said it was some sort of invisible force struck them. What if, is it Laika, Laika, the Russian space dog, had a fantastic Four-like experience and came back with the powers of all of the Fantastic Four?
I have nothing for that right now.
It became the super Skrull of dogs, essentially.
And you know what we needed to fight back against, like, Eric?
What do
Invisible
we need?
werewolves.
Exactly. Yeah, we need aquatic werewolves to fight against these fuckers. No, I just like the idea of a dog with the powers of Fantastic Four.
I mean, I'm into that as well. That's
That would be
Didn't-
horrifying.
Didn't Grant Morrison do something like that?
Yeah, it's
Uh,
called
no.
E3?
something.
Because of course he did.
That sounds like something.
We three was domesticated animals that were cybernetically enhanced to be creatures of war.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually
Oh,
very.
I've
It's
used
a
that
very
tank in
sweet book.
Command and Conquer.
And it's actually a very sweet book if you like animals.
Hmm.
All right, I want to show an image and tell me if you think this could be your first image, Eric. Because that is a space capsule.
I mean, they're
that was
close.
used.
I could see Eric's
yeah.
image being a space
version.
capsule that they didn't use.
Okay, now here's the thing,
Yeah.
though.
a
Like,
test
if,
capsule.
like, here's the thing, though. I think stories where someone's like, I saw something flying versus I saw something falling would be very distinct. Because, like, that thing's not flying, that thing's falling.
Well, so
Well-
let's say they did it out of sort of not a cannon, but more like a
It's-
catapult.
Well, how it
Let's
works
say.
A
is
trebuchet.
that it's on like a thing, and it goes up, and then it shoots it off, and then there's pieces that come off, but it's still going up. Like, you
Yeah,
know, when you're
right.
in a car and you hit the brakes, you still go forward. So,
Yeah.
like, it could have been
Mhm.
shot up by something, and that thing fell away, and it still has momentum to go up.
For those who
on
can't
its
see,
own.
it looks like your standard space capsule. Like, it's got the
Yeah,
it's got a tiny little door. It's it's kind of
Yeah, it's like the Apollo, like one of the Apollo space
Yeah.
capsules.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Jesus, I see what you mean by Hitler was making a Metal Gear.
I fucking told you
Metal
the
Gear.
fucking thing.
Yeah, but it wasn't cost effective amongst
No,
many
it
other
wasn't
things.
cost
No
effective.
shit.
I think rust was a problem. Like, it's essentially the Shagohod from the Shagohog.
Yeah,
Shagohod.
Shagohod
Yeah.
from fucking Metal Gear 3. Like, because the Metal Gear in that game is just a big fucking gun that can walk.
Yeah.
Which is weird because then like the next one is like it's like here's our next Metal Gear. It can walk. It's a big giant robot.
We have a
Big-
Gundam now.
Yeah,
a big,
essentially.
a
Oh
big
my
gun
God,
that
you
can
know-
walk is going to be my name, my porn star name.
Starring a big gun that can walk.
You know how much I would love that if Gundams were real? That'd be awesome.
But to Lou's
You and
point, I
you and
could-
Guillermo del Toro.
to Lou's point, I could see this easily being an early version where they hadn't gotten the proportions right for what's optimal for landing and not setting itself on fire and breaking apart in the atmosphere.
Yeah, because I think I was
yeah.
looking. Yuri Geller was like 61. I'm trying.
Mhm.
Sputnik was 57. Yuri Geller is 61. The next one in space was 63 by the Russians, and then we
Mhm.
landed on the moon in 69.
Right. So yeah.
Now, what's to the what of the stories of people being held down by invisible arms of sound? Like, I know I said like pacification weapons, but like
There is
That's a weird one.
super.
Yeah,
I was listening to something the other day where they have like super directional microphones, where like you could throw sound at people essentially.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah, they've
thing.
had those sound weapons for forever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
they have.
Yeah.
like the early version of that.
Well, one of
And
the
it-
biggest.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say one of the biggest fears with the sort of 5G is the technology they're currently using is very similar to these sound-based weapons that cause you to be microwaved in your skin.
hang on,
Um,
I don't know what do you mean the 5Gs?
Like
So
5G cell phone stuff.
5G network.
The stuff that Stadia is
oh.
going to run on.
I thought
Yeah.
I thought there was something else. I was like, is it reference to cell phone technology or something like that? But I
Yeah,
didn't.
well, yeah, 5G networks. Like most of them are not going to be built in the traditional. There's a tower here, and then there's a tower miles away. Most of them are going to be built on the sides of buildings with small receivers, kind of like a Wi-Fi network,
Okay.
built out or throughout a city. They're going to pay people to put them on trees, but it's the same frequency again that the military has these sort of. I don't remember what the word, but it's basically crowd disbursement technology
Yeah.
that they
Yep.
developed, and it could be changed so that it's used in urban settings to get rid of crowds.
Yeah, it makes everybody nauseous and stuff.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
And-
could see something like that, an experimental sound frequency based weapon of some sort.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I basically described everything that all of these articles talk about because none of them really go into like, well, it could be this. Like it's just like, and then this stuff happens.
That and like, I mean, the space program that lines up, and
Mhm.
a government doing weapons tests on their own people, or like a neighboring people, or something along those lines. Like,
Or even not realizing the effects of the things they're going to try out. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
as controlled as an experiment as it might be, it doesn't
Mhm.
matter because when you start trying it out even more so, it's just going to be like, oh, oops, we didn't know that was going to make you pull your tongue out.
Right,
yeah, because like this is it's hard to say whether it's like, oh, we didn't really know the power of what we were doing versus like, oh, we totally dropped gangrene on that village. We're gonna watch
Right.
everybody fall the fuck apart and then write down what
Mhm.
happens.
And also, anybody who's like, but this is the UK. The UK doesn't have the same Bill of Rights as we do, or even
do whatever the fuck they want.
Nobody does in the world.
right.
much.
So like, there's like, yeah, they don't really have freedom of speech or a lot of the same freedom to not be experimented on by their governments.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even
we're
though,
not,
like,
we're not
maybe-
supposed to have that, you know, that happened to us, but it happened to us. Fucking syphilis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, although what about all the stuff they did with the Tuskegee Airmen?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Edgewood.
Yeah.
And the thing I was referencing was the fucking units. What the fuck? Japanese unit
741?
741. One of those two. Yeah, the ones who were like,
Yeah.
we're gonna watch you sit outside and wait in the freezing temperatures and watch your fingers fall off.
Yep.
I literally said
or-
this in one of my classes. Like, there's a reason why the Japanese and the Nazis got along really well.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Except honestly, what was happening over in Japan? Those sites, like, some of it's way fucking worse.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
And I'm not trying to compare like the Holocaust to like that, but like they were doing like live vivisections on people
Yeah.
for like no reason seemingly. Like I've gone over that and I'm like, I don't know the medical benefit of doing this other than to be like,
There is
Nothing.
none.
oh, this is what
None.
fucking happens when we cut this dude apart while he's still awake.
Well, it's the same thing. It's like, what was I can't remember. One of the things are like, what if I like try to like sew this arm on this
Mhm.
twin, like from this person to this person's leg?
That's
Yeah.
that's like what Joseph Mengele was like obsessed with, was like twins and stuff. And he would
Yeah.
just do shit to twins and be like, "Oh, that's interesting." Like it's fucked
Except
up.
that he was also doing it to fraternal twins, which means
I thought you
nothing.
meant the arm
Yeah.
thing, Hunter. I thought you.
Wait, what?
He was obsessed with stitching arms to things.
Yes.
really love that. He's super into it.
Well, was Mengele's house like you walk in, there's just like hands attached to everything, like of all
It's,
kinds?
Yeah.
it's like those.
That's
it's like
actually
those-
fucking terrifying.
It's like those
Ever-
beaded curtains from the 70s, except it's just arms.
Oh no!
And remember, that guy got to live his entire life, and he
Yep.
died of a heart
Yeah.
attack while in the ocean.
Or the
in
Mossad
Brazil.
got to him. Or the Mossad got to him.
They were a little late anyway. He was like
They
29.
Took him
Yeah.
a little.
I had a conversation with someone at work about justice against like old Nazis, and
Mhm.
they were of the belief that like, oh, well, he's 90. Who cares? I'm like, there's no time limit on like
Who
fucking
gives a
human
shit?
atrocities. Like, murdering thousands of people doesn't have a fucking statute of limitations. What the fuck is wrong with
Right.
you?
At
Yeah.
a certain point, it's just like, all right, they all gotta go.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
in a similar idea, but a much, I don't know, you could argue as horrific. I happen to be on a friend's thread who was talking about how Michael Vick shouldn't be allowed to be on the All-Star game or something along those lines. I don't know anything about football, but there were actually people defending him, saying like, he did his time in prison. Like, motherfucker had a dogfighting ring. Like, he doesn't deserve anything.
He's
there
donated
is
a
a
lot of money to like therapy for dogs, and
Don't
is a-
care.
like,
Don't
There's
care.
a big difference though, because like
Nah.
I will say to not like I don't like it, I don't condone it, but like there is a cultural difference there, and
right.
he did go to jail and serve his time. Like
He,
I don't
he-
care.
I would say I would
There-
say
there are-
he's done penance, not enough
Yeah.
penance, but
Here's
he
the
has
thing
done
about
some penance.
But like there are people in the NFL that have killed people or have
Yeah.
ordered people to be killed or have
Or
pointed to
horribly
a bed
abuse their
full of
wives.
a
or-
bed full of guns.
yeah,
No,
Yeah.
that's the thing, though. Like, Colin Kaepernick still doesn't have a job. Like,
Well, that's a
that's a whole other thing.
Good
But,
job,
like,
Hunter. You just got us canceled.
well,
fuck.
no, because I can I have talked to other people about this. Like, if you don't know the sport, like, if he was, this is gonna sound really terrible, but like, if you're good enough, it doesn't matter what you do, who you point at and have them killed, you'll have a job.
That it's fucked up.
I
I don't think
mean-
that's right. But
yeah.
like,
Like Ray Lewis, like was on trial for murder and then went back and continued to play for the Ravens.
Yeah,
so did
because he got rid of a suit.
O.J. Simpson too, and he was.
But
That
but
was
I-
way after he retired, though.
But
Yeah.
just keeping this like somewhat related, like the idea of like I firmly believe we should like old Nazis should have been rounded up one by one. Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
They were,
Yeah.
and they were given jobs in our military.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. They should have been optimistic. We rounded up one by one. Like,
Right.
I'm not a person of violence, and I don't really like. I think the death penalty is like should be reserved for like really extreme cases. And like, yeah, like those, like,
but real ones, not like
yes,
internet ones.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
We should say the punches for the face for those ones.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they just attract them by themselves. Like the effort is barely on us.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like the fist balls by itself and just finds its way towards the faces.
It's weird.
Yeah,
They're like magnets for fists.
It's like gravity.
But yeah, I think like I just was I can't remember who was on like Joe Rogan's podcast that Hunter, you and I were talking about, but she fucking wrote that book about like all the stuff that happened after World War II with NASA and this other stuff, and like how she went to Germany and talked to like the son or grandson of one of these Nazis, and like he fucking gave her a box with like an old SS diary, like a knife, like actual Nazi like paraphernalia. And she was like, holy shit, this is awesome. I need this. And then on her way home, she was like, holy shit, this is illegal in the country I'm in right now.
Yep.
That's the same lady who is like the way the government keeps their secrets. That they just charge insane amounts for Xerox fees.
Yes. Yeah. The Xerox fees thing was fascinating because I can't remember what the fee was.
But I'm gonna have to listen to this because, like, knowing people that I know work in the government now, I don't think that's very true.
No,
it seems from what I know, it's not really hard to get certain things out.
Part of like keeping documents secret is like they will like put like a $25 million Xerox fee on.
Yeah, but yeah, if you're caught, like, I think it's like, oh well, well now you owe this much money, and that's the hush money. Like either pay this, or shut the fuck up.
Yeah. It's like it's all.
It's a power move disguised as a Xerox.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I can't remember her name. I'll have to look it up because it's as in most cases I wouldn't tell people to go listen to Joe Rogan podcast. But in this particular instance, it's a good idea to go listen to Joe Rogan podcast.
He has like some really good, like, who did he have on recently that I was like, oh, who has a new book out that was like awesome. But I get when he talks their 3.5 hour long episodes.
Yeah. He also gets like Alec Jones on there, so him and fucking Eddie Bravo can get into a screaming match.
Because Eddie Bravo's like, why do you believe that we landed on the moon? That's what that argument.
Honestly, this show could do an entire episode on Eddie Bravo himself because, like, no two things he says is ever the same thing. Because they'll come on to like Bigfoot's bullshit, man, but so is outer space.
No, it was Malcolm Gladwell. Rogan had on, and because he has a new book that was interesting about how we don't talk to people, and there was like a thing with like a woman like got pulled over for like nothing, and then she ends up dying in a prison cell, like in a county jail 3 days later.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
that story's
wasn't that the woman who hung herself in
yes.
jail cell, supposedly?
Oh, yeah, just like Jeffrey Epstein.
Weird.
Yeah. They get into that, and he's just like, yeah, she had some mental health things, but like it's more like how shitty they treated her. And he actually goes to like what set the cop off is that she lit a cigarette. And
wait a minute, I was listening to him talk about this.
Yeah, because he has a new book, and it's one of the things he talks about in his new book. Yeah, it was really interesting. Yeah. But it's a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah,
that's how like all things are. I like Joe Rogan when there's a interesting guest on. Yes. But, like, I don't listen to anything political for him because I'll shoot myself.
Well, I do that for most political podcasts.
But I think we can. I think we can probably wrap it up as we're spiraling here. But it's still somewhat on topic. I don't really have any closing comments other than wow, this was all mostly incredibly bleak.
Well, we did learn that you cannot really spontaneously combust anymore.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, we did discover like what is essentially like a dated paranormal fucking event that's just that unanimously the whole world is like that shit's not real. Like,
we also learned that because of SEO, it's hard to find really spooky stories set at Christmas. So
you put in a holiday mystery, and everything is about where is it? Where all those tourists were dying? Was it the Dominican Republic?
Mm-hmm.
It's a sad thing that we're all going to get canceled after the show because
you put in holiday ghost stories and it's just lists of like the Christmas Carol and
I was gonna say
like
I put in holiday mysteries and it was like a bunch of Hallmark Channel movies. I was like,
God damn it!
You guys just okay. I have one more story.
Oh no,
this is a dumb story because I'm fairly certain it didn't happen. But I have a friend who I went to school with who, when we were, I want to say 4th, 5th grade, he tried to convince me that he was being visited by the ghost of Christmas Future.
Oh no!
So,
your friend is a nerd, and you're a nerd for being that guy's friend.
I know. And that's the story I want to tell on this podcast. All right.
Okay, no, we gotta examine this. He didn't say I'm being visited by death. I'm being visited by the ghost of Christmas Future.
Yep, that's exactly what he said to me in art class one day.
Oh, yes. Well, art class is where all secrets are told.
Now, did your school still have the markers that smelled really good if you sniffed them, or did they outlaw that by the time you were there?
How short was the bus you rode to this?
Well, that's classified.
Were you guys allowed to have paste?
Yes.
Or no?
Okay, our scissors did have guards on them, but
yeah.
It was like, yes, we were allowed. It was highly discouraged.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap up, please.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
I mean, now I really want to know about this idiot in your class who was like, I'm being visited by one specific ghost from Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol.
Like, looking back at that story, it is actually hilarious that he tried to convince me that.
The fact that he didn't
the other two.
Just the fact that he didn't recognize that was also death. Like,
right.
Like,
did he have a sibling?
Yes.
What if one of his siblings just been fucking with him?
Can you imagine like waking up and you look over and there's a ghost in there's like a figure in a hood and a scythe. What the fuck? Disassembling a stereo over there? What's happening?
I was
yeah,
gently putting a pizza cutter into the anyways.
But there's a fucking hooded figure with like a scythe and he's pointing at you, and it's obviously the Grim Reaper, and you sit up and go, oh, it's the ghost of Christmas Future, and like the Grim Reaper's like, what the fuck?
Like if he
I'm deaf.
a door, I would be like, okay, he's a kid. He's a kid, and that's his point of reference.
That's
the ghost
of frame of reference.
What a weird.
Is that don't ever have a family if you're going to become a murderer, because they can eventually deposit their DNA into one of the publicly owned DNA sites, and then you'll be able to be found very quickly and easily.
Yes, there's a reason for people out there that I did this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, this has been our wackiest episode. That's fine. I don't have any really coherent plugs to throw at you because it's been a very long day, as it's been established, and I'm extremely tired. So, Movie Dumpster, please go listen to it. There's some stuff out that is called Movie Dumpster. I don't know.
Yes.
I'm exhausted.
Yes. Sounds good.
Yeah. Lost Horror Podcast is on a break. We might do a Christmas episode, but I really don't know. So go listen to the back episodes, listen to some of the guest appearances by people who are on this show. So yeah, that's my plug.
Don't follow me anywhere.
I'm glad to say this gimmick is still alive.
Yes.
Yeah, don't follow me anywhere. Fuck you.
There we go.
Find me outside of my friend's house dressed as a Grim Reaper. That's it.
Setting a thirst trap for those cryptozoologists and ghost hunters. I'm Eric Fedorczyk. You can find me
It's
on
just
the
a
Phantom
hunter
Zone.
in a fucking ape suit.
Yes.
You can find me at the Phantom Zone. You can find me on Instagram. You listen to the other episodes. You can hear where I'm at on Instagram. yeah, that's about it. Although I do want to continue to tell you about the enriching story about the two people that couldn't find a room at the inn and their zombie son who eventually took over.
That's great, but I think Lou still has to go to plug his
Yes.
fucking 75 shows.
No, we've cut them down. So we got Smallville Chronicles, that's still going strong. But comics, we just did our second to last episode with Crisis on Infinite Earth, so we have one more left. And listen to hear John Scott decide that the Anti-Monitor sounds like Guru from Dragon Ball Z Abridged. So that's why the last episode is called Super Kami Anti-Monitor Guru.
I fucking
Oh my god, I have to listen to this now.
I thought you meant Guru from Gangstar.
its head?
Yeah. It's not Nail, it's Psycho Pirate.
Yeah, it's Psycho Pirate. Get in here.
And yeah, you can follow me.
Psycho Pirate, take his coat.
kick his ass.
You can follow me on Twitter at Hunty is Dead and on Instagram at young underscore
I was
Kami.
hoping you would do that.
Wonderful.
Hashtag follow for a follow back.
Jesus.
I can't breathe.
We need to
Someone
end up.
someone needs to create a Grim Reaper Twitter handle just so they can follow him.
No, Ghost of Christmas Future.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my god. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Adios.